homebrew setup. Just gonna show this at like 8x because it was a little bit of a long thing, but anyway, got this electric kettle with a water heater element in the bottom, custom PID control system there hanging on the wall with a K-type thermocouple into the bottom. So here I got my tubes, plate chiller, and I connect this up to a little like faucet on my sink where I can divert the water to either go into the sink or to go down that tube. Filling up the pot now, I put in 5 gallons of clear water, and then I put in the syrup or whatever, and that ends up being exactly 5 gallons into the fermenter. So it's a full wort boil, as they say. Filling it up right now there. Here we're gonna start heating it up. It starts at like 16 degrees centigrade, and then I heat it up to 70. So takes a little while to fill it up. 5 gallons is a lot of water, but looks like we got there. Just putting the plumbing in for the plate chiller. I did forget to put the pump in here. That was a mistake, but basically the bottom is the beer loop, and then the top is the cold water loop. And what that does is it cools the beer down real quick, and that way you don't have to wait. I also like to set my syrup up onto the lid, which makes it a little bit thinner and whatever. So this is the Two Hearted Ale clone from Adventures in Homebrewing. So it's got 4 ounces of Centennial, the doggone steeping grains. Also, I like to use this little timer thing, hook it up to a bright light there, and it helps me time my hop things, but you could do the same thing with a smartphone or whatever. So here we're up at 70 some odd degrees. I'm going to put the grain in here. Yeah, it's a little crazy at 8x, but putting the grain in the bag, tie her up, and then that steeps for 20 minutes, right? And because this is in my basement and it's making all kinds of steam, I do have an exterior vented fan. This is blowing all that steam and hop smell out. Here you can see the red light flash. After the grain has steeped heated up to 100 there, and kind of wait a little bit. Now you're not supposed to squeeze that grain bag, so we let her drip dry for a second and got it going up to 100. Here, looks like we're there. Now I'm going to put in the syrup, or the malt extract. This is pretty runny, but still you can't get it all out, so I take a little bit of water and pour it in there and get the last of it. Got to get all that good sugar in there. Yeah, I don't really have a problem with boiling over. You can see the amount of headroom in there. We really don't have any issues with it boiling over and making a big old mess. This is a 8-gallon stock pot, I believe. I have no idea where I got it from, but it's the 2-port. So the top one there is the thermometer, and the bottom is the drain valve. Also, I've got this like hop spider, I believe they're called. It's got a 400 mesh stainless steel mesh there, and put the hops in it. Now we're getting started sanitizing the fermenter and things just out of frame on the bottom. I'll pan down here in a second. But this is the stainless steel conical. They were really expensive when I first started doing this, but now everybody's got them. Yeah, so I use that Star San acid. I don't really mess with anything else. I have good luck with this stuff. So here I'm rinsing, making my sanitizing solution in the fermenter there. Using the faucet to get hot water through the plate chiller, and then down into that fermenter so it can get all sanitized and stuff. All while waiting for my my last hop addition there. So yeah, we're really flying at 8x. I wish it really went this fast. But here you can see the fermenter I was working on down there with the Star San. I don't really stir it too much. I don't really have problems stirring, but anyway. Oh yeah, the other thing I do is I like to put the output of the plate chiller back into the tank. And what that does is it lets me boil, sanitize the chiller, the pump, and everything else for 5 minutes. So I'm putting that pump in there. It's just a little plastic hot water pump, 12 volts. Then I just let it run for like 5 minutes with the boiling water still in it there. So here we're saving a little bit of that sanitizing solution for later. We'll dump out the rest. Oh, looks like the boil's over, so I pull all the wiring and stuff out of that. Now I'm actually chilling that. So I have cold water going through the chiller, and then the hot wort is going through the other side of that plate chiller. This is a secondary fermentation, so I have to put the valve on there so I can get the yeast out of it on the bottom. Yep. And man, we're flying. So yeah, you can see the cold water just goes into the drain. Then we just wait for that temperature to drop on that big dial. There I marked. I get it down to like 90 Fahrenheit before I put it into the fermenter. I could jump the gun and do it sooner, but with the yeast is good to like 100 before it gets messed up. But I use USO5, and I don't really bother with all these fancy yeasts. They're expensive and they don't do anything for me. So USO5, that's good enough. Buy it like 5-pack. Then I aerate the wort a little bit there, spraying it in against the side. Gives me a lot of oxygen for the yeast there, I guess. I don't know, whatever. That's what they say. Then I drain the hop spider while I'm waiting there. And to get it all out, I kind of have to tip my brew kettle up a little bit with a little, whatever's handy, a box or something. And and then if you could zoom in, it's right at 5 gallons right here when it's done. So it's the perfect amount in there. And that way I don't have to add any cold water or anything. Everything gets boiled and everybody's happy. So there is a component to this, right? Because homebrewing, it's like, oh man, it's a lot of work. What's the cleanup like with the system like this? So here I'm going to show you the cleanup. Basically I just run hot water backwards through the pump, chiller, and in the port into the pot. Rinse all that out as good as I can. And I sanitize the pipes, rinse them out with water, put them in my little drawer right there. It's really not a big deal. Just coil everything up. I dunk the whole chiller into the leftover sanitizing solution. Here I'm showing you the inside. Just scrub that out. I don't use any soap or anything like that. I just scrub it out, and that's it. And then rinse it real good with cold water there. Rinse out the valve. It's a 3-piece valve, so I just take and rack that valve back and forth to get her good and cleaned out and dry. Then the hot basket, I just dump it in the trash, wipe it out, and then it's good for storage. And the last thing is that plate chiller. It does get a little buildup in there, so I just put it into the star sand until it starts running clear, run cold water through it until I'm satisfied that it's clean, and then that's it. So if I run this on 110 volts, I had previously had it set up for 240, and if I had 240 available from my solar panel system, it would draw 6,600 watts. I don't have an inverter that can do 6,600 watts, so I run it at 110, and it uses, and then it's like a quarter of that, right? It's, geez, I should know what it is, but I don't. It's, like 1,400 watts or something. It's a quarter of 6,600. Anyway, so it just takes forever to boil. So I just do other things. I'm out there working in the garage, hanging out with the wife, doing things, playing with the kids or whatever. So, it's longer than it could be, but still the effort level is low because everything's, basically automatic. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you get an electric solar-powered brewery too.